All right. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the podcast. I'm Aaron, joined by Kenda.
Everyone.
And we are also here with Kimberlee.
Hi, good as well.
And we're going to be talking about a story that we've been discussing in class for a while now. Girl by Jamaica Kincaid. It's a pretty old story. Just a reminder, it was released back in 1978, so it's been around for a while. Our focus today for the podcast is written and oral discourse as present in the text. We're going to be talking about generally what they are, going to give you some examples of them, and we're also just going to be giving a brief rundown of what we expect from your paragraphs and your homework, so you can get along with that. Before we get into those points, we're just going to have a brief review of the text, so I'll hand off to Kimberlee for that, and she can begin. So Kimberlee, take it away.
Okay, so hello again, everyone. This short story is a coming-of-age narrative that is based on a mother-daughter relationship where the mother imposes her ideologies upon her daughter. She speaks to her daughter in a domineering tone, which suggests that the narrator lacks faith in her daughter in becoming a respectable young lady on her own. Despite her efforts to deter her daughter from becoming a slut as described in the text, she still feels as though her daughter just might become exactly that. The mother's tone can also suggest that she holds herself accountable for teaching her daughter these life lessons. However, the narrator fails to realize that experience is also a great teacher. She leaves no room for her daughter to express herself and opinions about these rules that she is forcing her to abide by. By overlooking the daughter's interruptions, the reader can infer then that the mother sees no value or merit in what her daughter has to say, as though she's incompetent. She gives off the impression that she is concerned with herself and what she knows to be right. This text is very interesting as it holds information that was relevant at the time it was written, as well as contemporarily within the Caribbean. Okay, so one oral element that we can use to look at as evidence for our aforementioned literary analysis is sudden change in topic. So this is a situation that occurs in speech where it is applicable for the persons that are having a conversation to jump from one topic within the conversation to another. And so this same element is represented in the Girl by Jamaica Kincaid. It is represented by shortened sentences and rapid movement through the rules that the mother lays out for her daughter. And an example of this is, and I quote, "Don't walk bareheaded in the sun, cook pumpkin fritters in very hot sweet oil, soak your little cloths right after you take them off," end quote. So what is happening here is that the narrator moves from one point of importance to another, leaving very little room for her daughter to digest what is being said or what is being imposed on her, which is exactly an element that occurs in oral communication. So a sudden change in topic is a particular element that helps the reader to understand that the narrator is giving stringent orders to her daughter in the form of an instructional that she must follow. So now we move on to our other points. Kenda?
Thank you very much, Kimberlee. I will be speaking on the second feature of oral discourse, in particular, the more fragmented, less complex sentences. So the structure of girl is related to the oral features. The text features more fragmented, less complex sentences. The text lends itself to a mother giving her daughter advice on how to be the perfect wife and mother. Being the perfect wife and mother bears a lot of responsibilities. So naturally, the list would be long. This would explain why the text is so extensive. The more fragmented, less complex sentences make the text more interesting. And because the sentences are this way, it would give the reader an continue reading. The writing also serves as a permanent record of information. This means that the text is saved for further use and reference. I'll now turn it over to Aaron, who will now do the Scribal feature. Aaron?
Yeah, thank you, Kenda. Okay, so as mentioned, we'll be going into the written discourse. Now we'll just be using 1 point that I'll break into little smaller points to explain. So we'll explain using context independence or independence of physical context. And I'll throw a question at Kenda and Kimberlee. When you guys are reading it, and let's use an example from the text itself. Let's use the first 2 sentences. Wash the white clothes on Monday and put them on the stone heap. Wash the color clothes on Tuesday and put them in the clothesline to dry. Did you find yourselves in understanding any setting examples or character or themes or anything like that? Did you kind of get anything from those 2 sentences when you started reading the first time?
Well, when I initially read it the first time, and as you said, I read the first 2 sentences, I got the impression immediately that this is coming from a woman, from a mother, from a female, because I believe that, only a female would know these types of things. I mean, not taking anything away from men, but these are things usually a mother would say to her daughter, because, mothers tend to pass on these things to their children. Because as they say, your mother is the one who teaches you like how to cook, how to bake, how to maintain your home. And the reason why mothers do these things is because eventually at some point in your life, you are gonna have your own home, you're gonna have your own home, you're gonna have a husband, you're gonna have children, and you're gonna need to learn how to do these things. And mom is always gonna be there. So a time will come where you have to do it on your own. And well, this is what she's doing with her daughter. So obviously her mother taught her, now she is teaching her daughter. So therefore it shows that, girl does have some kind of relevance in the future, even though it was written since 1970s. A lot of these things still bear a lot of relevance right now for a lot of young girls and females coming up.
And it kind of shows that we, on a personal level, we kind of relate and we kind of understand those situations. As you mentioned, even back then, as the story was written, as we said, in 1978, when a whole different kind of society now, and even then, those things still hold up. As children grow up, they need to learn these things, and it's how we take the information from this text to heart.
I think it also shows how much women actually do.
Yeah.
Every day.
By all
like
means,
it really shows how much they do and how much goes into maintaining a household and being a mother and a wife. So yeah.
Kimberlee, what was your take on this story when you first read it? And does any of these connections to the literature come across in your mind?
So initially, when I first read the text, I was a bit confused as there was no set context per se. It came across to me as just someone speaking and just listing random things. But as I continued to read, I realized that it was a conversation that was happening. And so that helped put things in perspective for me. The fact that I read it over, I reread it, sorry. And that, there was also an introduction by the daughter. So it solidified for me then that it was a conversation that was taking place.
So yeah, that conversation in the text, you can kind of see it in there in like the character. Let's use character as a literary feature. You can kind of
Yes.
see don't sing banner in Sunday school. That you could tell that it's the mother speaking there. And then the two sentences later you have, but I don't sing banner on Sundays at all and never in Sunday school. You have a relationship there. And you can kind of think maybe that relationship still holds up. That relationship is constant throughout the entire text. Every single sentence, every single piece of line, every single part of the monologue relates to that relationship. And as we mentioned, I think you had mentioned it in your analysis, this is a mother speaking to her daughter. So now that we have that idea in mind, we're able to look at, we're able to use what I would say, being able to reflect in the text in different ways. If you read it the first time, mightn't be sure what you're going through. But as you spend time understanding and delving into the text, pulling out information, you reflect on it in a different way. You gain a kind of emotional, personal connection to these pieces of information. And that's kind of the way to address the independence of context in any kind of story. So when students, when you are writing your paragraphs, kind of read the text over and over, see how you can understand the information presented, and then go ahead and write your paragraph. So as we're coming to the end of the podcast, we're going to quickly close up here. I'm going to hand off to Kenda, and she's going to summarize everything, and then we'll end off from here. Kenda, it's up to you now.
Thank you. The features of oral and scribal discourse make up the sum total of Go. The two features, one scribal, independence of physical context, and two oral, more fragmented, less complex sentences, and sudden changes in topic, assist in making the text more interesting and meaningful. The features have the reader see that the text is not just a list of responsibilities, but it holds a more in-depth and complex meaning.
All right, so that brings us to the end of our podcast. Thank you everyone for listening. If you have any more questions concerning your assignment or generally concerning the text itself, feel free to ask us next time you see us, and we will see you in class and for the next episode. Bye-bye, everyone.
All right, thank you.
Goodbye.